Hey guys, Attorney Walter Knott. Now we're going to be keeping this show a lot shorter than we normally do because I'm super tired. I was going to go ahead and take phone calls right off the bat, but to be honest with you, I did so many phone calls at the law firm today that my phone died. So it's right now over here getting charged. We're going to wait until that basically is charged up. Now let's get right to the important parts of this video and why I'm bringing this whole situation up with what's going on. Now, throughout the years, different governmental agencies which have control over the social security numbers of those who are obviously part of the SSA have been released through these different government agencies. We're going to go through some of those today. We're also going to go through some theories that I have about what could potentially happen as a danger to those who are retired, receiving Social Security benefits, etc. I want you guys to know about this stuff and start thinking. That way you're aware of it if a potential thing were to occur. Okay, Deb Carter, howdy. Garden, Benny Hill, howdy. Linda Soto, Julie Tree, howdy, howdy. So let's get rolling real quick. I want to start off with very simple article to begin the process of going through what happens with these potentially hacked social security numbers. This first article is from Star News Online. It was an opinion piece written by Robert Samuelson. I was actually from the Washington Post. So in this age of cyber everything, we all live in dread that we're going to be somehow attacked by the internet. Nearly everyone seems vulnerable. The internet is changing how we work, play, socialize, shop, and what we love and fear. A few weeks ago, I received a letter from the Social Security Administration. This is the person who wrote this article, not me. By itself, this was neither alarming nor threatening. If you're 65 or over, I am 73, you receive regular notices from the Social Security Administration. The letter looked authentic and was. Thank you for using Social Security's online services. It said on June 28, 2019, you successfully created an online account with the Social Security Administration. This too seemed innocuous, except for one troubling detail. I didn't create an online account with the Social Security Administration. I already received my monthly Social Security benefit through electronic deposit into my bank. This is the guy who wrote the article. But that had been going on for years. It was the only contact I desired with the Social Security Administration. Perhaps SSI was quietly expanding its bureaucratic reach, or not. I decided to call the 800 number in the letter. So this guy reached out, called him. Here we go. The wait was an hour. I was repeatedly tempted to hang up. I'm glad I didn't. The woman who answered was courteous and helpful. Yes, my personal data had been altered so that my monthly benefit would be diverted to someone else's bank account, not mine. She reinstated the correct address and put a block on the account, meaning that unless I visited an SSA office, my personal information could not be changed. You will continue to receive your monthly payments. The SSA promised. That's reassuring, if true. Policy views knows that I favor benefit cuts for the affluent elderly. Accepting benefits now may seem hypocritical. Not so. All right. So basically, the article keeps going on, but the bottom line is this: his account was hacked, where somebody signed him up as if they were him, and then changed his bank account information for where the check needed to be deposited. He called the SSA. They put a hold on his account. That way, it went back to the original location where the money was supposed to be deposited. A hacked individual who writes articles. Next one. Next article is Editor's Pick, August 1st, 2019, 1:42 p.m. Remember, this is like, 2019, multiple years ago. Suzanne Rowan Keller, Forbes staff. I like Forbes articles. You guys know I tend to go to those. They add a little bit more detail than the usual write-up. Every day, it seems, another data security disaster puts our personal information at risk. If it's not a major hotel or restaurant chain getting hacked, it's a financial institution. Remember, guys, my Social Security number ended up about a month and a half ago on the dark web because where I went to college, there was a server that had my information on it, and that server was hacked through the government. That was supposed to, it was like a sub thing through the government. And as a result, I got a heads up from Discover that my social was on the dark net. Following breaches at Capital One, Equifax, and a slew of other financial healthcare organizations, there's little doubt that your Social Security number has been compromised. Say cybersecurity experts, not just yours, mine too, as well as those of our spouses, neighbors, friends, and colleagues. Your Social Security number is somewhere out there on the dark web, says Charles Henderson, who heads up X-Force Red, a team of hackers at IBM Security that companies hire to break into their computer system to expose vulnerabilities. That's a good thing. I think they're called like positive hackers or white hackers or gray hackers or something. I'm not sure. It's totally reasonable to assume that your Social Security number has been compromised at least once, if not many times, says Mike Chappell, Associate Teaching Professor of Information Technology, Analytics, and Operations at the University of Notre Dame's Mendoza College of Business. A compromised Social Security number is much more problematic than when other types of personal data are hacked. If your credit card number is stolen, your bank can issue a new one within days. If your passport or driver's license is stolen, you can get a replacement issued with a brand new number. With Marriott and other hotel breaches, all those credit cards got revoked and reissued. Points out Henderson. Not only is your social security number designated to stay with you for your life, but it's interknitted with your banking and credit history. If a cyber thief has your name, address, and social security number, he's not far from being able to steal your identity. So let's go through this real quick. This goes through the basics of how people steal socials, things like that, how you should freeze your credit. Let me go through. Actually, we don't need to go through that. You know that. The bottom line is there's 3 credit agencies out there. If somebody has your social, you contact one of them and ask them to freeze your credit. Cool. Let's get to the next thing. Now we're starting to get into the scarier stuff. CNET News, social security number stolen in defense agency data breach. Now listen to this one, because this one gets a little bit scarier. The hack targeted the system run by the Defense Information Systems. This is by Laura Hatala, February 20th, 2020, 12:30 p.m. when it was written. Oh, thank you, good sir. Thank you, good sir. I love the $5 donation and the image. Very good, very good. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I love the image. And we all know what's going on with him. Okay. All right, let's read through this real quick, guys. You need to know about this because this is scary stuff. An agency under the U.S. Department of Defense, an agency, we're talking government here, under the U.S. Department of Defense was hit by a data breach that affected personal information. Hackers stole social security numbers, names, and other personal data, a department spokesman said Thursday. The Defense Information System Agency, or DISA, is responsible for providing IT support to combat missions in addition to securing White House communications, according to the agency's website. So let's just summarize here who got hacked. The agency under the U.S. Department of Defense, called DISA, who is responsible, this is effed, for providing IT support to combat missions in addition to securing White House communications, according to the agency's website. So the communications related to the red phone on the president's desk, information related to when a group of Marines, SEAL Team 6 is going to be moving forward with an operation. They're in charge of that, and they got hacked. Department of Defense spokesperson Charles Pritchard confirmed Thursday the agency had detected a breach of personally identifiable information on a system it hosts, and was in the process of notifying those affected by letter. The breach affected people associated with the Defense Department. They will also receive a follow-up letter with more information about how the agency will help them respond to the incident. That'll include free credit monitoring services for everyone involved, he said. DISA, here's the quote from it, DISA, conducted a thorough investigation of this incident and taken appropriate measures to secure the network. The breach occurred between May and July 2019, according to Reuters, which reported the story earlier Thursday of other major data breaches that exposed social security numbers, including the hack of the U.S. Office of Personal Management in 2015, and the attack on Equifax in 2017. Stolen social security numbers create a risk of identity theft. No kidding. All right, so with a stolen social security number, criminals may open new lines of credit or use it to claim government benefits and tax refunds, among other things. All right, the bottom line is they basically broke into the government agency that oversees White House communications from the president and military exercises on behalf of the those who are in charge of sending out troops to do things, which is, because, you think of the Social Security Administration, you're like, okay, this is supposed to be a safe place. But then when you think of the group that handles the communications of the president of the White House, that's holy cannoli. That's a big one. But it gets worse. Now, I'm going to do a little subcategory thing here so you kind of understand the basics. As you know, the Office of Inspector General, our good friends at the OIG, basically came out with a National Slam the Scam Day, which approached on March 10th, which was, of course, a week ago. February 9th, 2022. Consumers lost hundreds of millions of dollars to government imposter scams last year alone. Hundreds of millions of dollars. That's a lot. Chances are someone you know has received an ominous call or message from someone pretending to be from the government, alleging that your information has been compromised or demanding immediate payment. Ignore it, they say. This is just one of the tips that the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General is sharing to warn consumers about these scams through a National Slam the Scam Day initiative taking place March 10th, 2022. Now, I want to point out something. They used to say, don't ignore it. They used to say, report it. But now it's ignore it. That's not great. That's a transition that I'm not very proud of right there. You should report it when somebody calls you with potential scam information, right? And they're trying to scam you out of stuff. But now they're saying ignore it because they can't really do much about it. That's the reality. Slam the Scam Day is an initiative to raise public awareness of the pervasive scams that continue to plague the nation as part of the Federal Trade Commission's National Consumer Protection Week. The initiative, which began in 2020 to combat Social Security related scams, is now expanding to include other government imposter scams. In a government imposter scam, someone, flip the page, claims to be an SSA or other government employee, may ask for personal information, demand payments, or make threats. You know what's funny about this, too? I was talking with the clerk of one of the judges, and she called one of my claimants, but I guess the claimant had switched phone numbers. It was for a hearing, and they just switched phone numbers. We couldn't get a hold of them. And the person who picked up just was like, and then hung up on her. And she's like, I guess I don't sound like I work for the SSA. And I was thinking to myself, like, how would you really know if somebody worked for the SSA? Because, unless they're using like, some really, really deep, could be like not proper English, then in that case, yeah, maybe. But, she sounded to me like she worked for the SSA. So something to consider there. How do you know? How do you differentiate? What is somebody, one of those? Members of the media are encouraged to attend our press call on March 9th, 2022. To hear more about our actions to combat these scams, details will be released closer to the event. Not much media coverage on this. Tips for spotting scams and a major thrust of this year's campaign. SSA OIG partners with other government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and the private sector to increase awareness about how to spot government imposter scams and avoid becoming a victim. They did not sponsor me to read this. I want you to know. I'll read it again. They worked with government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and private sector to increase awareness. They didn't pay me. They did not pay me. That's all right. We still love the SSA. All right, let's keep reading. According to the Federal Trade Commission, from January through September 2021, consumers, oh my God, from January, this is so horrible. From January to September 2021, consumers lost more than $442 million. Like if you were to tack like August on or September, October onto that. Sorry, I had to read through the months because I'm so tired. If you were to tack October onto that, that would have been $500 million a year was lost, according to the Federal Trade Commission, to government imposter scams. $500 million from January to basically October area. That's a lot of money. That's a friggin' huge amount of money. As we continue working with our law enforcement partners and partners from the private sector, not including me, to combat these sinister schemes, I urge consumers to simply hang up the phone or delete suspicious texts and emails without responding to the scammers, Inspector General and has said. That is the easiest and most effective way to avoid falling prey to these vicious scams. Or you could have published and spoken about the OIG fraud hotline submission area. You could have done that. You could, as an SSA, interactive person who deals with you all the time, would have been maybe a good spot to say, hey, maybe just copy the email, shoot it over to the fraud department. Could lead to something, see something, say something. That's just, but hey, all right. But in this case, we're slamming the scam. We're not seeing something, saying something. Remember that. We are By the way, I'm taking tomorrow off, so don't try to call me tomorrow. You might get back office, you might get front office, but you're not going to get me. I'm taking tomorrow off. I've had enough. All right. We are concerned that fraudsters continue trying to trick people into providing personal information or money, said Khalil Kishikazi. Hey, that's the new acting commissioner right there. I urge people to remain alert, hang up if a scammer calls, and ignore their attempts if you receive suspicious email, text, or letter. SSA OIG provides resources on its website and posts tips and warnings on social media platforms. There will be webinars and social media chats to give the public information that empowers them to slam the scam. SSA OIG urges everyone to be cautious of any contacts supposedly from a government agency telling you about a problem you don't recognize, and provide the following tips. Real government officials will never threaten arrest or legal action against you unless you immediately send money. So there's a couple things there. They might threaten arrest or legal action, but not ask for money. That's okay. That's it. Promise to increase your benefits or resolve a problem if you pay a fee or move your money into a protected account. Obviously, guys, if you're talking with somebody who wants you to move into account in India or Sri Lanka or whatever, be very wary. Number 3, require payment with gift cards, prepaid debit cards, wire transfer, internet currency, or by mailing cash. You don't need to spend money on these people. These scammers are well fed. Please do not make them any bigger. All right. Number 4, try to gain, or maybe 5. No, it's 4. It's 4. Try to gain your trust by providing fake documentation, false evidence, or the name of a real government official. Yeah, okay. All right. Additional resources for the press and public can be found in the press kit. The public is encouraged to report Social Security related scams and fraud online. There you go. That would have been a good thing to put at the very front of this thing. Let me read it again. It's the most important part of this whole thing, even though it's like literally the second to last paragraph. The public is encouraged to report Social Security related scams and fraud online at oig.ssa.gov. That's the best thing you can do. You could slam the scam, but try to see something, say something gig. You know what I mean? Other government imposter scams may be reported to the Federal Trade Commission. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Scammers frequently change their approach, trying new tactics, yada, yada. You get it. All right. So, yeah, for those who are like, why are you giving us information that's scary? This could be potentially scary to me. Oh, my goodness. What are we going to do? This is how you prevent scams that steal your money. This is how you prevent scams that steal your Social Security number. This is how you prevent scams from them opening up essentially workers' comp things against some insurance company, opening up a line of credit in your name. This is how you prevent all of those things so that they do not happen to you. This is crucial that you understand this stuff. Now, let us walk around inside my brain for a moment, because this is what I'm starting to realize with this whole Russia-Ukraine thing. Yes, most Social Security numbers at this point have been hacked. Yes, they're sitting on a tiny hard drive somewhere. Sure, many hard drives. But let's talk about this. Could Russia hack the SSA and potentially stop your Social Security benefits? Could they do that? Absolutely. Russia is known for having great hackers. Russia is known for having highly complex thinkers. We're talking about a group of people that were the chess champions for the longest time. So what I need you to understand is, don't think of them as these goons that are just these off-the-cuff ruffians, right? They're not. These are highly analytical creatures. Now, let's talk about essentially how they could potentially steal funds from your Social Security benefits so that you're aware of it, okay? It's Christy Hughes. I need a Xanax law. And keep in mind, guys, the only reason I'm doing this video with this stuff is that you're aware. Like, I could not do this and just do it on what are the grid rules? But frankly, we are going to be doing that. But frankly, this is more important right now because what's going on? Because Ukraine keeps getting hacked. All right. Let's talk about this. Most of you are receiving your funds via Direct Express card, the green card, direct deposit, they put it into your bank, and paper check. You get it in the mail, you open it, it's a cute little bluishy kind of check. How could Russia essentially take your Social Security benefits? Here it goes. They could hack your My Social Security account address and banking information. They could hack the distribution payment list. They could bomb the processing warehouses to disrupt the servers and physical checks. They could bomb the U.S. Post system to disrupt the mail for physical checks. They could nuke government buildings and wipe out the people who process those checks. They could randomly hack the main profile system inside the SSA's offices, the FO, the OHO, and change some people to overpayments who failed to beat a CDR. They could hack the financial banking systems that you receive your money at, thereby changing or canceling the amount that you receive. Why would Russia do this? Let's think. Let's take a walk inside my brain. Veterans are high-value targets because civilians who want to ban weapons don't own weapons, and they are future potential work farm slaves for an invading force. Veterans usually own weapons, have training on how to use them, and are figured out on how to go ahead and do guerrilla force tactics down to their Option E escape plan. They're good. They know what they're doing. Veterans get more disability benefits and more retirement benefits. Some stockpile funds in an emergency because they know how fragile the military, weaponry, machinery, people, and tactics are. The big joke is that no plan can ever go as wrong as a military plan. This isn't to say that they are incompetent by any stretch. This is to say that the military personnel face extreme enemies with death and destruction capacity. Now, you guys have heard me make fun of like realtors before, where like, realtors will be like, oh, my job is so hard. Oh, it's so difficult. And I'm sitting there as an attorney that's often dealing with some form of opposing counsel or some form of, counter where they're fighting me tooth and nail to make sure I lose, right? Well, realtors don't face that. An extreme beyond what I deal with, right? I'm dealing with very smart people countering my arguments. They're dealing with very smart people that are using deadly force to counter their force. So no plan could ever go as bad as one of their plans, even if they did an amazing job strategically fitting all the pieces together. Now, let's keep running through this. Russia could manipulate the VA and SSA so that the veterans would be cut off from further buying, hoarding, and stockpiling. As a result of this, you would have significant numbers of civilians without money who would start doing criminal activities to be able to feed themselves. The veterans would likely be the most effective at survival beyond the origin point of Russian hacking or bombing. As a result of this, they have dried food, backup cash, things used for trade, escape plans, ammunition, weaponry, and a van down by the river. We know what you've been doing in that van down by the river, you veterans. We love you for it. All right, bottom line is this. America's strength in its military and its 393 million guns, of which 98% of those 393 million guns are in civilian hands. Let me read that again. In America, and I have no idea how they calculated this, there's around 393 million guns, and 98% of those are in the hands of civilians. So if Ukraine has around 4.5 million guns in it, and the USA has around 393 million guns in it, that means you ask those who are anti-gun to attempt to convince an invading army first when their tanks come off their landing ships, while those who are part of that 393 million club prepare the backup plan in case the flour in the barrel of the firing squad doesn't work. Remember, if Russia actually does something, they will likely do it all at once, like Pearl Harbor and many other military megastrikes that start the war between supernations. My point here is this, guys. Be aware of this stuff potentially happening because it could. I read an article the other day and I was like, okay, how realistic is this whole nuclear thing? Blah, blah, blah. And the article starts out with, well, it's not zero likelihood, it's some potential. Do we think Russia will ever get to that point? I have no idea. But I do know this. China was going to go after Taiwan to some degree. And as a result of Russia having such a difficult time with Ukraine, it slowed down the progress of this whole financial shift. Now, I need you to understand something. Nobody wants this thing to go nuclear. Putin doesn't want it. China in general does not want it. The USA does not want it. All the other countries do not want this to go nuclear. And here's why. All of these other countries recognize that the United States, the big boss, the big bad, the big end figure at NATO, you playing through the video game and you get to the end boss, we're the USA, that's us. They know that there's a giant financial trade-off that's occurring. We as America used to allow all these other nations to trade in U.S. currency for international trade. That means the Bank of America is the world over. But China doesn't want that. China wants international currency with their monetary figure, which means that if they get to go ahead and replace the U.S. when it comes to their buying potential and get rid of the dollar being used, and they'll use their financial figure, right, and their currency, then what that means is that the U.S. has just lost trillions and trillions of marketplace borrowing. Because when the Bank of the U.S. is all of the countries throughout the world, throughout Earth, they can borrow against them using that currency. But if we lose China and we lose Russia and we lose Africa and the Middle East, then we've got a problem. Because all those debts, well, the problem is we won't have the mass borrowing power that we used to. That is what's scary about what's going on. Okay, guys. So now that I've done that, remember we are ending today early and tomorrow I'm taking off. We're now going to be taking some calls. Please remember, for those of you who want to call in with questions who are already represented, but your attorney can't answer it, and now you're going to put that on me. Please, make it nice for me. Put a little cream cheese on top of the question, a little bit of butter on the bottom, a nice bagel, a little bit of cheese melted onto it, something nice. Don't hit me with it hard. All right, let's go into it. I'm going to start doing some of the phone calls of people who called in. I'm going to go ahead and put the phone number in here for other people who want to call. But now, before I do these phone calls, I want to make something very clear. I was working with somebody recently who basically was telling me about his book that, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm really excited to go and read it. I want to tell you about it real quick. Hold on, it's right over here. There's a gentleman over here. He wrote a book. Check it out if you get a chance. He's a really cool guy. Let me pull it up on Amazon. That way you can see exactly what it is. And it did not come up. What happened? I clicked on the link and it didn't come up. Oh no. Oh no. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. I found it. Right here. Wait. I'll call Nick. This. Okay. Hold on. I'll call. Hold on. Let me go ahead and do this real quick. Hold on. Let me click through this thing real quick. Hold on. This is the gentleman. I'm going to be checking out his book. I just talked with him. He lives around my area. I don't want that popping up. All right. So with that said, let's call some people back and begin the process and get this rolling. So hold on, guys. 1 second. We're going to go ahead and accept a call here. Hi, we are live on YouTube. Please remember to use a fake name throughout this process. This is Attorney Walter Knott. Remember, oh, wow, Shirley. Thank you so much for the massive donation of $49.99. Wow. That is really generous, and especially since I'm going to the farm soon, that's going to be really helpful. So thank you. Let me do this call real quick. So this is Attorney Walter Knott. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
Specific question.
Excellent, good sir. How can I help you?
Why, after a CDR, would they wait a month and then send the 3373? Why didn't they just send that out? I emailed you, by the way. I was the one that emailed you and sent you that quote from the movie.
Okay, hold on. Let me find it.
Why would they wait a month to send out the 3373?
So wait, so they started the CDR, waited a month, and then sent out the 3373?
Yeah, why didn't they just send it out with the original packet?
Because they never do that. When they initiate a CDR, the CDR is initiated at the local FO. The local FO then sends it to DDS. DDS then sends out your classic DDS documents like a 3373, 3369, 3380. And then, of course, you'll get even more forms in the not too distant future called the supplementals. Supplemental pain, anxiety, headaches, etc.
If you had a failed attempt to work and you tried to make YouTube videos for the litigation shit.
Yes. I've heard tale of one YouTuber who actually has now had the SSA apply to his channel, basically additional earnings, even though he didn't earn that on YouTube. And as a result of that, he's getting hit with over SGA, which means violation. So
no, I mean, like, you didn't make any money at all, like zero. You just tried to do it. You didn't make any money.
He makes money doing it, but he didn't make enough money. So don't expect him.
Zero, and you only did it for like maybe 10 videos, and you made zero. They probably couldn't use that. You think?
No. This is like a professional. This is a guy who like does it. Like more professional than my videos look. So no, man, like no. If you're making 10 videos and you're just like, here's some videos, have fun, blah blah blah. They're not going to mess with you. You're just not. They're looking for somebody who does this like a job.
Well, I tried to for a little while, but I wasn't able to. So then, here I am.
Well, I mean, this is what I would say. Look, a lot of people want to do the YouTube thing and make money off of it. And I got to tell you, my channel financially goes up and down. Last month, it made a massive amount. It made $3,700. This month, it's going to make around like $2,200. It goes way up. It comes way down. I have no control over that. So what I've emotionally realized is that I shouldn't connect my self-worth to how well I do on YouTube. I should connect my self-worth to how much my dogs love me. So
Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful, wonderful night.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so yeah, real quick, guys. The bottom line is you gotta put up a zillion videos. Or with look, if you're a beautiful woman you know, if you're a beautiful, young or old, doesn't matter. If you are a beautiful woman, you could potentially put up a couple of videos and have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. It's possible. I've seen those. Okay. I didn't go looking for them. They popped up on the road. But the bottom line is this: you could potentially earn significant amounts of money, and then all of a sudden you're not disabled under the SSA anymore because you're earning over SGA. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, guys. All right, let me call another person real quick. Let's keep this thing rolling. You know the deal. We wait for them to answer. Then I give them the walkthrough, not to say their name, blah, blah, blah. And then we roll into it. All right. So, guys, I just also, again, Shirley, thank you so much. That was a massive donation. I really appreciate it. That is incredible. I am going to be going up to New Jersey soon. Oh, we are live with the person. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Also, would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and basically, run hearing questions with you?
Well, I'm actually really surprised that I got a call back. I don't know where to begin. It's kind of a topic that may be something that you might not want to touch on, but it has to do with my continuing disability review right now. I don't know if you can help me, Walter.
Okay, so can you give me a quick summary as to what's going on?
Yeah, so I am currently going through a continuing disability review. I sent all of my information into the DDS over the DDS office. They're currently doing the medical examination now. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but one of my medical records was sent late because of COVID, and nobody was at that medical records office, and it was from the emergency room. And I got involved with the medication, a psychiatric medication. By the way, all the disabilities that I got approved for were physical, but I got involved with the psychiatric medication that affected me very negatively. And once I kind of felt like I was being pushed around by my doctor and kept upping my dose. And when I decided to stop taking it, I ended up going to the emergency room and started self-medicating with alcohol and marijuana. Now, it was a big mistake of mine. I got an assessment done by a doctor saying that my cannabis use was severe, and that I had a cannabis use disorder that was severe because I was smoking it every day at bedtime to try and help me sleep. And I'm now worried that the DAA will make a capability determination to the FO, and the FO might send me basically a notice saying that I have to have a representative payee. So I'm trying to find out the best way that I can handle this to where I won't need a payee. What can I do?
All right, so real quick, let me summarize because I was clicking away there a little bit. But first and foremost, it was just marijuana?
Yeah, marijuana. But there was one day where there was 1 week where I was drinking for 5 days straight to help me sleep after I stopped taking the medication.
Okay.
And I was smoking marijuana every day as well.
All right, so we get alcohol.
But I do smoke marijuana. But I don't drink alcohol at all regularly. But I do smoke marijuana to help with a lot of my issues.
All right, so, do you have the marijuana card or no?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not worried about that. The alcohol, what was the test that they got you on? How much was in your system, or was it purely just a factual statement that you gave the doctor?
I don't know how much was in my system. I can go look at my records, but it might take me some time to get there. I don't know if we have enough time. But
well, yeah, I mean, so here's what I would say. When it comes to alcohol, there's a rule for alcohol and drugs where it's called the materiality rule. The bottom line is, if the drugs or alcohol are materially and causing your impairments to become more severe, like, you have moderate impairments and they become severe as a result of your use and abuse, then in that case, they're allowed to deny your benefits. So first thing I'd want to know is, did the MCPC, via the DDE, disability determination explanation, categorize your alcohol abuse as severe under the MDI, medically determinable impairments? And if they did, oh yeah, go ahead. So
there was no mention of alcohol abuse, but there was mention of cannabis use disorder severe.
I'm not worried about that. Yeah, I mean, look, this is not a lose your benefits gig. They might try to do a payee thing on you, but if you have a payee situation coming your way, just get your doctor to write a note that says that you are capable of handling the distribution of your own funds, and then submit that to the SSA.
Yeah, the SSA 787. Yeah, that's the problem. When I was seeing my psychiatric doctor, my primary care doctor, and my psychiatric doctor, and my pain management doctor all found out at around the same time that I was smoking weed. And then I had to go find new doctors, and I recently switched insurances. So I'm starting again afresh with different doctors now. On Tuesday, I'm going to be seeing a med legal doctor, and I don't know if he at all could advocate for me in the event where an SSA 787 will be sent his way.
So what you're worried about is you're playing Dr. Bingo a little bit. You're trying to make sure the right one replies to the right thing. All right. So keep in mind, the SSA may not send one of those out. The SSA just, may send out a medical. So they could send out a 787. They could also send out a medical questionnaire, and then write into it specifically questions relating to any abuse that they have that your doctor might have on record. Now, one thing I want to ask you, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just, just hit me with the truth on this. When it comes to this week of, being a lush, drinking a lot, are there other weeks where you were also drinking a lot? Was it not a rarity, but rather something you do, every couple of weeks you drink a lot?
That was the first time I drank in over a year.
Okay. All right. What proof do you have of that? What did you buy the alcohol with? Did you buy it with your card?
There was alcohol at the house, so I drank that, and then I bought alcohol at a market. Yeah.
All right. So, all right. What I would do is start collecting SSA 795s from your friends, family, etc., people that know you. Get third-party witness statements where basically your friends and family just write out a statement that you do not traditionally drink alcohol. I would start preparing them, start holding on to them. That way you have them in your back pocket.
Okay, SSA 795.
Yeah, 795 it. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll have that in my back pocket. This is something that I can turn in the event where I will be interviewed for a lay evidence interview or something.
Correct.
Capabilities.
The idea is that if you need them, you can use them. But look, if you're submitting a bunch of these ahead of time, it's going to ring some bells. So use them if you need them. If you don't need them, timing with this stuff is, a lot of people think, timing is very important with submissions to the government.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing has happened yet. No determinations have happened yet.
Okay. Work on those 795s. I'm
really sorry. I'm having a panic attack right now because I'm really scared. I don't want a representative payee, and this is the first time I've ever been on YouTube. So.
Here's the thing, with the rep payees, it's not really that scary. And even if you got one, you could always switch off of one. So it's not like you're trapped in a corner. You're actually, you're sitting in the middle of the street figuring out which direction you want to go. And the bottom line is you're not in the bad position right now. They haven't forced one at you. You can prepare by getting 795 statements. You can reach out to DDS and request a copy of the DDE. You can go ahead and basically, prepare yourself to make sure you don't get one. If you do get one, get your doctors to go ahead and essentially either fill out a 787 or potentially fill out a 795 themselves about why you don't need one. That way you're prepared and can submit all those things to rebut all the evidence that they create to use against you.
Yeah. Okay. So you were talking about the SSA, the SSA 795 and the SSA DDE.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's just called DDE. It's what Disability Determination Services creates, and basically it's a disability determination explanation. It's like a big form. They're usually like 10 to 20 pages, and they have a bunch of stuff in them. But it's the summary of the investigation that DDS creates when they're reviewing your claim.
Okay. Okay. The local CDS office, like completely said you'll be calling them, but is it something that I can receive right away from the DDS office or from SSA?
I mean, they might send it to you. They might not. You might have to lawyer up kind of gig, but I would try and shoot and see if you get it. That's what I always ask for and do an analysis based off of that. But remember, they don't always like sending it to non-rep people,
Okay. All right then. How difficult is it passing a lay evidence interview? The guidelines make it look like proving capability is generally easy, but I don't know if a lay evidence interview is the most determining factor when determining capability.
So that's a huge question. It's much bigger than you probably kind of realize when you're shooting it out there. The idea with lay evidence is that it's a non-attorney or a non-legal rep basically presenting evidence to the SSA and what is the value or the weight of the evidence compared to other evidence that's provided. And the usual functional task is that evidence is broken into two categories, being subjective and objective. Subjective evidence is where it could have been manipulated, and then objective evidence is that it's unlikely to have been manipulated. Objective evidence is like, in the course of business, we always do it this way. It turned out this way. This is the evidence. Or a machine output it. Whereas subjective evidence, it's like the claimant said, I have pain in my hips. How severe is the pain? It's a 9 out of 10. That's subjective evidence because it could be manipulated when presented. So kind of the bottom line is it depends where on the scale of subjective versus objective this is, how much capacity you have to manipulate it, and then is it backed up by other evidence when submitted to them that essentially could effectually create a good claim.
Okay. All right. Attorney Walter, before I let you go, if I could backtrack, and I'm really sorry if I'm taking up too much of your time, but you were explaining earlier that you weren't too worried about the assessment from the doctor about the statement being made of cannabis use disorder severe. What makes you say that you're not worried about that being a determination for substance abuse in DAA? Because there's one day that I went into the emergency room, and the very next day I went to the emergency room for the same thing. And there are some visits in the emergency room where I had some bad dreams and PTSD dreams where I thought my family was out to kill me. So I went to the emergency room for that. And also I thought that someone put something in my food, so I went to the ER for that. So, but yeah, with all those examples in mind, do you think that the DDS would make a determination that I have a substance abuse disorder?
All right, let me play the judge because I'm bored and I want to interact with you and I want to get me excited because remember, I've got to do like 2 or 3 more calls after this before I let you. Okay. So I got to get like pumped up here. I'll play the judge. You play the claimant who apparently has a severe, marijuana use disorder. Is that correct? A severe marijuana use disorder?
Yeah, cannabis use disorder severe, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, okay, good, sir. Can you walk me through this? When was the date in which you went to the hospital and they wrote down specifically that you had a severe cannabis use disorder? What was the date?
On the 9th of January of 2022.
Hold on, let me grab a pen real quick. 9th of January. Oh, no, hold on. Let's get some ink going. I'm not, my pen is lacking ink. Let me grab another one. Hold on. All right, 9th of January, 2022, this year. Excellent. Which hospital was that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Which hospital was that?
This was at
Just make up a name. Any name is fine.
this was at Hay Center in Florida.
Okay, very good. Excellent. I love that hospital. All right, now here's the deal. Explain to me this. At what point on the timeline of your impairments did you go and collect a marijuana card, and who prescribed it? Who was the pain physician that prescribed it?
Dr. Such and Such on December of 2021.
Can you explain to me, have you ever had any prior abuses of marijuana where they notated at a medical facility that you were severely using and abusing cannabis?
No.
Okay. Can you explain to me this? When you had that card first given to you, have you had medical appointments thereafter with that same specialist doctor who prescribed you that as a medication since that 12/21 date?
There was only one appointment.
Only one appointment. And when was that next appointment?
Well, there was only one initial appointment. That was made, and that was all.
To get the card?
No follow-up. Yes.
So you got the card and ditched the doctor?
No, I got the card, and I didn't have to continue with the doctor. I just got approved, and I just got my marijuana card by visiting once.
Why didn't you feel it was necessary to go back to that pain specialist?
It wasn't necessary. I see another pain specialist for my prescriptions.
So why didn't the original pain specialist that you traditionally see initially go ahead and prescribe you that card?
I didn't go to a pain specialist to get a marijuana prescription. I went to a service that has doctors available to interview patients asking for marijuana cards.
Don't you think it's relevant to go ahead and have a follow-up with those who are prescribing you a particular medication?
It wasn't suggested by the doctor that interviewed me.
No, I'm not talking about the doctors. I mean you, from your perspective. Remember, we're talking about subjective evidence here. From your perspective, don't you feel that it's necessary to have a follow-up with somebody that prescribed you an ongoing use of something like cannabis?
Yeah, well, I do have to revisit in about a year to renew the prescription. But I am new to cannabis generally, so I don't think so.
So now let's solidify this. 12/21, you get the card. January 9th. So we're talking, 20 days later. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So 20 days later, you're abusing the medication at a hospital, on file, on record.
This was due to withdrawing from a psychiatric medication that I no longer wanted to be on, and that I felt like my physician assistant at the time was kind of bullying me around and upping my dose when I was really asking to lower my dose because I developed very bad symptoms of akathisia and movement disorders, and I was getting suicidal thoughts and dreams. So that was finally when he started lowering my dose. And when he started lowering my dose, I started to feel better. But after a while, I just still had those symptoms. I didn't want to be on the medication anymore. I couldn't get the support of my doctor or my physician assistant to help me taper off the medication. So I made the decision to look for better help, and I was prescribed another medication. But in between that time, I stopped the medication and experienced severe side effects and was self-medicating heavily because of because of the withdrawal effects I was experiencing.
So just to summarize, and correct me if I'm wrong when I state this, I want to be very clear and not put words in your mouth. You used one medication that was prescribed to get yourself over a medical condition in conjunction with alcohol, which you traditionally do not use, to create a cocktail to relieve yourself of a medical condition that you may or may not have been treating for.
I was just having trouble sleeping, and was experiencing a lot of anxiety because of the withdrawal effects. So, yeah, that's something that I don't often do because of just the conditions that I was under.
So, just to my understanding, just to be clear on this, you did not go to a sleep study. You did not seek out psychological assessment as to insomnia or even physical.
I did get a sleep study later on after the emergency room. Yeah, because I had a very deep concern that I was experiencing sleep apnea, and I was borderline central sleep apnea. But I didn't fit the criteria to fit the description of having central sleep apnea. But yeah.
All right, good sir. This is what I'm going to recommend, because I can keep beating you up, but the bottom line is this: go back to the place where you got that doctor's yada yada, and give them a heads up as to how the medication, the cannabis, is working well. That you're happy with it, you're not abusing it, you use it, in such and such a manner. Get them to write all of that down. Go to your other doctor, notate the same thing with that doctor. When it comes to basically your purchases of cannabis going forward, keep all the receipts and show that they came from one location and how you purchased them. Also, very important, go to an AA class so that you can go ahead and have it on record, just so that you can say, I tried it, I didn't have a problem with alcohol, it was just something I tried out once and it didn't really work for me, but I wanted to make sure I didn't have any issues there, so I took the initiative with my own intent, volition, to go ahead and basically see if there was any potential and if I could learn anything from this and if it would be helpful going forward.
Okay. None of my doctors support marijuana. The only one is my new pain management doctor, but I've only seen him twice. And so I don't know how much you can attest for me. But yeah, I'll try and I guess get all that information together. Yeah, I don't know. I hope this helps me with my late interview. I really don't want to pay you, but thank you, Walter. I'll see where this takes me. I really hope I don't get a pay. But you really don't think that I'll get GDS will make a determination of substance abuse disorder?
They'll put it in the report. I don't think it's going to affect you. Look, what they're looking for are people who are like the guys that are my claimants, like my homeless claimants, my chronically homeless individuals who are drinking every week, and it's a lot of drinks, and they're getting their alcohol by standing on the corner, getting money from cars going by. They go into the store, they buy the alcohol, they drink it down, they're drunk for a day, and then boom, they wake up, they're miserable, rinse, repeat. That's what they're looking for.
Okay, so I mean, 2 consecutive days of drinking and marijuana use heavily, and a few examples of some surreal hallucinative dreams and getting scared and going to the ER. You don't think it's gonna put me in the category of substance abuse and to where I'll need a representative payee?
Oh, it was substance abuse, without a doubt. But is this continuous, ongoing, repetitive? Did you learn your lesson? Do you have medical documentation showing that you're no longer doing it? Do you have receipts showing that you're no longer purchasing it? Do you have, something that is some sort of evidence? So develop the evidence, begin the process, and kind of go from there. But let me catch the next caller, because keep in mind, I wanted to end early a little bit, and we're jumping in the time. But I'll catch you a little bit later, good sir. You have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank you, Walter.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye. So, guys, we're going to take 2 more phone calls because I am beat. I am super beat. Let me see what I can do here real quick to kind of, keep things rolling here. Okay. Hold on, let me see. Which is the next one on here? The next one on here is this one. Okay, cool. We're going to call this person real quick, let them know that we're live. We'll see if one more person calls in after that. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube right now. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you? And remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Go ahead.
Hi there. So I am a single mom. I have 3 children. We fled domestic violence in 2019, and we were homeless. And I didn't really even understand the level of abuse I was under until I got out and started talking about it.
Mhm.
I had a failed work at 20, and I just have a lot of anxiety, depression, PTSD, and I actually was starting therapy pretty soon after I left, and I had 2 therapists that I was seeing both once a week, so I was in therapy twice a week, and that for like 6 months, and then that's when I found out about disability. So I had already been getting treated and all of that, and eventually on medications, and had a psychiatrist as well, who I see every 6 weeks. Now I'm just down to once a week in therapy. I had another fieldwork attempt recently. I'm about $100,000 in the hole in legal fees. So I was going to try to work a little bit to make some money and keep up on that. So it was really rough getting back. I mean, the symptoms, I guess, you would look for in this type of case. My brain just like shuts down and can't focus and concentrate on things. And I was making a lot of mistakes, big mistakes and errors. And then I would get emails about them, and it would give me anxiety. I wasn't able to sleep. I already suffer from nightmares because of what we went through, and all this abuse on not just myself but the children. So this is what I'm most concerned about, is if I have to talk to a judge and I tell them the extent of my disabilities, because it got really bad to the point where I felt like I needed to drive off a cliff to save us all. And that's when my therapists were begging me to go on meds. And I did at that point. I was very resistant because I used to live a very holistic lifestyle. And I'm afraid CPS will take my kids. That's my only concern about all of this.
Okay, so you have what is very common among parents, specifically women, when it comes to essentially the loss of the child situation, because if they get, a bunch of diagnostic impressions from doctors stating that they have PTSD, anxiety, bipolar depression, things like that, it could potentially make them an unfavorable environment for the child to be around. And as a result of that, the other spouse, ex-spouse, the parent will go ahead and use that against them. Yes, this does occur. Yes, you are correct. What most people do that are in your situation, they put the parental rights into a grandmother, or sorry, your mother, and basically then get onto disability benefits and have the child have parental rights to the mother of the mother who had them. That's what I see most people doing. But you are correct to be concerned that this does occur, and it happens quite often, and it's another form of usually a male trapping a female into a negative tailspin, not being able to financially afford things. And what's the worst part about it is, I'm guessing the male isn't paying their proper child support.
He didn't for a long time. For a year, I had to actually go on cash assistance by my lawyer's suggestion to get garnished wages rolling. There was a lot of litigation abuse. We just ended our trial actually earlier this month. It was 3 weeks long. He doesn't really want the kids, and he didn't ever say I'm a bad mother. He's got narcissistic traits, and so he just wants them when it's convenient for him. he even said that he doesn't want to disturb anything I have going on because he really doesn't want them on his hands. So my whole thing, this whole thing that caused all of, a lot of what's been going on is me trying to keep my kids safe. So it's like, I've gone through all this, and then they're the ones keeping me going, and then, so I'm scared that they might take them away, because I was to the point where I felt like I need to be institutionalized. And my kids are what kept me going.
Yeah,
because I knew that the alternative would be him, and I would never in a million years want that to happen. He has only supervised visits that he never uses.
Really? He never goes to any of them?
No, he's never used any of them.
That's just so weird to me. Like, if I had a kid, I'd want to see, and granted, I don't understand. Like, I've had conversations with girlfriends and ex-girlfriends who have had kids, and they weren't my kids, and so the connection wasn't the same. But like, if somebody took my dogs, I mean, I wouldn't try to murder them to get them back. But I would. But whatever's right below that. I hear you. So I guess what I would say is this. Usually what I see people do. So do you have a mom who could potentially take guardianship rights of the children so that you could apply for disability benefits?
I do. She's in a different state, though. I'm not sure if that affects anything. I actually already have the disability ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
It's been rolling for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it just dawned on me as I've been, reading more about all that's going on, because I already had the independent psych evaluation, and then I have the medical one coming up soon.
Sure.
So I was just thinking, like, if I'm going to be completely honest with the judge, everything that's wrong or going on with my brain from all the trauma, they will probably want to take my kids away.
Well, let me ask you this, because
what's keeping me going.
Yeah, usually it's not DCF that attacks the parent in this situation. Usually it's the ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, parents, the child's father figure or parental figure. Let me ask you this: if he's not involved, how many visits was he supposed to have? Oh, let me ask you this: how long of a period has he not visited the child or the children?
It's been a year since he was granted supervised visitation, and he hasn't had any kind of custody since we left him after he assaulted our son.
Okay. Has he at any point, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this, seen the children and watched the children over the past year?
No.
So he's totally disconnected, which means that I would go for the disability benefits and see what I could do to try and go ahead and basically, get them. But remember, you got a unique situation here. The judge is going to look at this thing and say, she has this PTSD, she has this anxiety, she has this depression, she has the mood swings as a result of this, ex-partner. And as a result of that, now that she's not around him, what are the medical physicians saying now that she's not interacting with him? Is she getting better? Is she potentially getting worse? And if you guys hear...
I just had my medication double dose.
So yeah, that's a good sign.
And I'm also on sleeping pills. And, I don't see this really letting up much.
Right.
I had to even join the address confidentiality program. We're going to move again because I just have a weird feeling that he might know where we are. And when we get the verdict, I'm scared for my life and my kids. So, I work with, I have a good mental violence advocate. I've got a lot, I guess.
Now, let me ask you a tough question.
Support.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to embarrass you.
No.
Does he have any claims against you of you withholding the children from him being able to see them?
He and his lawyer want to call it parental alienation.
Okay, so that's all right.
They did during the trial, but he never really fought for them. He hired this attorney and didn't do anything for 6 months after hiring him. Then Christmas came, 2020, and he's like, "Hey, I want to see the kids for Christmas." So he just, it wasn't really a motivation for him. And, so
Okay. All right. So what I would say is this: you got to be careful with that situation. Now, remember a lot of this stuff, and I don't do family law. I stay away from it. I always tell people to go talk to OA law because he deals with that stuff. I handle people who have mental impairments. I do not handle regular people that lose it as a result of relationships going awry, because the screaming that comes from that is usually even worse because they just never calm down. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Now that he hasn't seen the children for a year, obviously a year ago they played this ploy that there was alienation, you're turning the children against him, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Now you have a year's worth of evidence of the father not doing what he was supposed to do, in the sense of visiting the children and establishing a relationship to create that best interests of the child, having half shared, interest of him seeing them to some degree. So now that you have that,
Yeah.
and you have an abuse on the record of him abusing one of the children, and you have medical documentation showing that you were abused, I would go for the disability benefits, but be ready to have your mom move to the same state where the children are at.
Okay. She's retiring on May 1st.
Well, she's getting a new job. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or my ex-husband. I have an ex-husband who said he would adopt the kids if need be.
Also a good option, but remember, the moment that happens, the father of the children is going to become the bad guy again. I mean, there's a chess game here, and you know how jealous men are. Let me tell you, I don't know what's wrong with us.
If I could get him to terminate his rights in my state, they require a fill-in role person, any gender. So I asked my ex-husband, would you be willing to fill this spot if he would terminate his rights completely and just go away? And I would forfeit child support and all that, because I would be 100% fine with that, just to cut all ties. But I think that his personality disorders his ego won't allow that.
Well, there's ways to make it, because you're thinking, hey, if I don't catch him on the money stuff, but you have not, I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm not saying that you should do this, but look, if he's been aggressive attacking you, and you have instances in the past where there was a potential police report, where you have neighbors who can make statements, he could be very in trouble for potential criminal activity, which would be highly, that would be good leverage, I would think, to make sure that he would go ahead. Now, I'm not saying that to remove him completely from the child's lives, but if he's an abusive person like you say he is, and they have evidence of that, then that may be in the best interest of the children to keep him out of the situation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he has an assault record, and we dug up everything we know about for the trial.
Gotcha. Well, madam, you kind of know which way to roll with this thing now. Make sure your mom is ready for her new position. Get her a nice, name tag and stuff like that. I will catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful night. If you have any additional questions, don't be afraid to call back, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye. So as you guys could see, I had a sweetie monster who's still here. I think she wants to go outside. We're going to take one more phone call. She's upset. She's so upset. So as you know, Sweetie is what's called a big girl, and she likes to party. She likes to party a lot. She likes to go swimming in the pool. She likes to have her food bowl by the pool. She's spoiled. All right, let's go through this real quick. I'm going to do one more phone call, and then we're calling it a night. Here we go. And then Sweetie is like staring up at me with those beautiful oceany eyes. Howdy, this is Attorney Walter Knott. Use a fake name throughout the process. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
Oh, this is Diana Ross.
Very nice. Very nice.
How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Sweetie is, she's snarking at me to go outside, but we're doing good. We're doing good.
Next week, maybe, or another time.
Yeah.
Discussing what I was discussing the previous week. We'll wait.
Okay, yeah. Call me right up in the beginning. I know exactly who you are. I'll prioritize the call. We'll get you in there. And then basically from there, let's catch up and go through it because it is a very relevant topic, and especially it affects people. It's good. It's good. Let's do it. I will catch you next week, early in the session. You have a wonderful, wonderful night, and I'll catch you later.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and head out and let the doggies outside. Have an absolutely wonderful weekend. I am going to be taking Friday off. It's pretty much the first day I've actually ever really taken off over the past 4 years because there was one day there where I was miserable. So, anyways, I will catch you a little bit later. I'm going to take the doggies out. Sweetie is 100% bully, or as I like to call, a pickle puff. She is a pickle puff. That's her. She is she talks a lot. She nags at me all the time. There she is again. I will catch you later. You have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.